Stress affects 1 in 5 workers here in the UK and is also the biggest cause of sickness among the working population. With such high numbers of people suffering with stress-related illnesses, it seems more important than ever to adopt techniques to deal with it. Well, I'm joined here today by Dr. Snek, a Medical Director at Bupa. Dr. Snek, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Now, before we dive into mechanisms for dealing with stress, I'd like to discuss what stress actually is. How would you actually define stress?
Well, that's a very good question, Ian. It's a very wide definition for many people, but basically it is when the pressure that is on you is too great for you to cope with, and that is when stress happens, and that's at very different levels for different people.
So what are the symptoms of stress?
Well, stress can manifest itself both mentally as well as physically. On the mental side of things, it can be small things like an inability to concentrate or feeling worried about things all the time. But it can become much more serious with depression and mood swings and other behavioural problems. In the physical side, you're more susceptible to coughs and colds. You can feel nausea and dizziness. Sometimes you can get panic attacks and chest pains because stress releases stress hormones, things called cortisol. And when that runs around the body, it can actually cause a physical change in your health.
And how does that relate to the workplace?
The workplace is one of the most common causes of stress. 1 in 5 people will be affected by stress in the workplace, and over 100 million days are lost in the UK because of stress. So you notice that you're stressed at work if you're doing a few things, constantly rushing to get things done, missing your breaks or missing meal times, not spending enough time with your family at home, taking work home, thinking about work outside the work environment. Things like that tend to warn you that you're getting stressed at work.
And how should you deal with it? Because if you go to your boss and say, I'm stressed, that will be seen as a sign of weakness, won't it?
Yes, I think that's a valid point, and people feel that. I think the culture is changing, and definitely with employment law as it is in the UK, your boss has a duty of care towards your well-being, and if you're stressed, you should be able to work with your employer to deal with the problems that are causing it. There are things you can do yourself. One is make sure you're in a comfortable work environment, so the right desk setting or whichever environment you work in. 2, share problems with colleagues because they're often experiencing the same thing. 3, make sure you work regular hours. Try not to keep in the office or keep at work till too late. And 4, make sure you're spending enough time with your family because friends and family and time outside work will really affect how well you work and how stressed you are at work.
And what about stress outside the workplace? How should I deal with that? Had I got stress, of course.
Yes. Well, that is difficult. I mean, in the family environment, if there's stress, there are often very emotional things that are causing it. And it sounds trite for a doctor to sit here and tell you how to deal with your emotional problems, but there are some simple steps that you can take. One of those is to ensure you're having as much good sleep as you can, and that's about making the bedroom environment as comfortable and as quiet as possible. 2 is about avoiding the absolute no-nos, which is excessive alcohol or excessive caffeine. 3 is about exercise. It is medically proven that exercise regularly, 3 to 5 times a week, will reduce your stress levels, and that's a chemical thing, not just a mental thing. And then it's dealing with the problems that are underlying it, and that may require a bit of outside help.
Where can people find out more about stress and how to deal with it?
Well, understanding how much stress you're under is sometimes difficult to do. If you go to Bupa's online stress assessment test, it takes about 10 minutes to do, but what it does is ask you some key questions about your behaviour patterns, and it will tell you really what your stress level is. Then, once you know that, you can go into mechanisms to help cope with it. So again, on Bupa's website, bupa.co.uk/stress, you'll find a whole hub of information, ranging from what to do in the workplace to deep breathing techniques for relaxation to help with stress. So the Bupa website has got a whole repertoire of information to help deal with it.
Dr. Snek, thank you very much.
Thank you.